You've spent years giving your attention away to screens, to strangers, to problems that were never yours to solve. Every vibration in your pocket feels urgent, every message, every post, every headline, pulling at the edges of your peace. And yet, none of it fills you. You wake up already tired, not because you worked too hard, but because you've been leaking energy into 1,000 invisible places. You've been productive, but not present, busy, but not alive. That's the hidden sickness of our age. Not pain, not poverty, distraction. Here's the part no one tells you. The average person now switches tasks every 47 seconds. 47. That means your brain rarely finishes a single thought. You're not living in time anymore. You're living in fragments. And that's not an accident. We've built a world that profits from your divided mind. Every app, every feed, every advertisement is designed for one thing. Not your happiness, not your growth, but your attention. Your attention is the currency. And right now, someone is getting rich off your restlessness. But here's the truth. No one is coming to rebuild your focus for you. No mentor, no algorithm, no miracle routine. Nothing can save a scattered mind until you decide to take it back. That decision, that's where the Stoic begins. The world celebrates motion. Stoicism celebrates direction. The world rewards display. Stoicism rewards discipline. You're told to hustle, to grind, to stay connected. But look closer. Connection without clarity is just chaos with good branding. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul, so give yourself that retreat often." He wrote that in a war camp, under pressure, surrounded by politics and fear. Yet his peace remained untouched because it wasn't built on the world. It was built on focus. So let's clear one thing up before we go further. Focus on yourself doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean cutting people off or becoming cold. It means reclaiming ownership over the one thing every distraction is trying to steal: your mind. It means asking, what deserves my energy today, and what just demands it loudly enough to fool me? The Stoics believed that attention is the gatekeeper of the soul. Let in garbage and your spirit rots. Let in truth and your life aligns. If you've been feeling lost, not because you lack goals, but because everything feels like static, you're not broken. You're just outnumbered. Every notification is a small negotiation. Every scroll is a surrender. And every time you choose silence instead, you take back ground in a war most people don't even know they're fighting. You can't fix your focus by trying harder. You fix it by building a wall around what matters, by saying, "This hour is mine. This thought belongs to me. This peace isn't for sale." That's what we're going to rebuild in this journey. Your internal command center, your ability to live with calm precision in a world addicted to noise. Because the modern Stoic isn't the one who feels nothing. He's the one who chooses what to feel and when. So breathe. The chaos outside can wait. For the next hour, this is your fortress. This is where you begin taking yourself back. The world praises speed, but wisdom demands stillness. The world rewards display, but strength grows in silence. That's not poetry. That's the blueprint. And before we go deeper, remember, if distraction is the weapon, then attention is your armor. Before you can master yourself, you have to understand what's fighting to own you. Let's step into the battlefield of the modern mind, the war for attention. The world you live in is not neutral. It is engineered to steal your focus. Every platform, every headline, every sound in your pocket has been weaponized against your peace. We live in the age of monetized distraction. Every second of attention is a transaction, and the price you pay is clarity. You think you're choosing what to watch, but the truth is, your impulses are being auctioned in real time. Algorithms know what angers you, what excites you, what keeps you scrolling. You are not the customer, you're the product. Every moment you spend chasing noise, someone else is getting paid. Epictetus warned, if a person gave away your body to a passerby, you'd be furious, but you hand over your mind to anyone who enters your feed, and feel no shame. The Stoics saw this coming long before screens existed. They called it slavery to opinion. The modern version is slavery to stimulation. The first step to freedom is awareness. Look at your habits like a scientist. How many times do you reach for your phone when nothing's happening? How often do you open a new tab before finishing the last one? These are not small quirks. They're fractures in attention. Each one weakens the foundation of your mind. The modern world has turned restlessness into a business model. Infinite scrolls, autoplay loops, endless notifications. It's all built on one psychological principle: variable reward. The same pattern that keeps a gambler pulling a slot machine keeps you checking your feed. You don't know when the next hit of dopamine will come, so you keep reaching. The Stoics would call this dependency a failure of control, a mind owned by impulse. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Today, that means taking back sovereignty from the invisible forces training you to react. It means choosing silence over the noise that profits from your restlessness. Here's a shocking truth. The average person now switches tasks every 47 seconds. That means most people never hold one thought long enough to develop mastery. They confuse movement with progress, reaction with action. But scattered effort never compounds. Only focus compounds. You can't train clarity in chaos. You can't think deeply while your mind is being constantly interrupted. The Stoics' first discipline is the discipline of perception, controlling what enters your attention. What you see shapes what you think. What you think shapes what you feel. What you feel shapes what you do. Attention is the first domino. So how do you begin to win this war for attention? You start by starving distraction of its oxygen, your participation. Every platform wants constant engagement. Give it silence instead. Delete apps that cost more energy than they return. Turn off notifications that drag your mind into micro-anxiety loops. Keep your phone out of reach during deep work. Every time you resist an impulse, you train your mind to obey you. The Stoics didn't use the word dopamine, but they understood its power. They trained through voluntary discomfort, fasting, cold, silence, to remind the mind who's in charge. Every act of restraint builds command, and that's the point. Focus is not something you have, it's something you train. The same way the body learns endurance through resistance, the mind learns clarity through friction. Every temptation resisted is a rep for your willpower. Every moment of silence is strength accruing interest. You'll notice something strange when you begin to reclaim your attention. The world will start to feel slower. That's not because the world changed, but because you finally stopped sprinting after it. The calm you feel is not emptiness. It's power returning home. Remember this: the person who controls your attention controls your life. Guard it like territory. Defend it like sovereignty. Every distraction is an invader. Every decision to focus is a declaration of independence. This is where modern Stoicism begins, not in detachment from the world, but in disciplined engagement with it. To stand still, clear, and unbothered while the world spins around you, that's real control. That's real strength. Focus on yourself until you win, because the world is betting you never will. Seeing the battlefield is not enough. Now you need proof. Live in your own life. This is where theory meets data. The 24-hour attention experiment. The 24-hour attention experiment. For the next day, you won't try to be more disciplined. You'll run an experiment, because once you see your attention on paper, you'll never unsee it. This isn't about guilt, it's about evidence. Here's the promise. Run this exactly as I say, and you'll recover 90 to 180 minutes without waking up earlier or working harder. Not theory, proof. Phase 1 is the baseline. For the first 2 hours after you wake, do not change anything. Just observe. Every time you feel the urge to check your phone, open a new tab, peek at messages or switch tasks, make a single tally mark in your notes. No commentary. Just a tally. Each mark is a micro-negotiation your brain tries to start with you. At the end of those 2 hours, count the marks. Most people see numbers they don't like. That's good. Discomfort is data. Write one sentence. In 2 hours, I tried to leave the moment, junter times. That's your baseline. Phase 2 is the gate. For the next 22 hours, you'll control inputs with 3 windows, AM, midday, PM, 15 minutes each. That's it. Outside those windows, you do not check feeds, inboxes, group chats, or news. If work requires messages, you answer during the window or in a single scheduled block labeled communications. If something is truly urgent, people can call you. Rarely do they call. Set timers for the windows now. 9 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 6 o'clock. When the timer ends, the gate closes. If you miss a window, you miss it. The world survives. Your focus trains. Phase 3 is the swap. Urges will spike. That's expected. Every time you feel one, don't white-knuckle it. Run the 10 to 10 swap. 10 seconds of breath, 10 seconds of note. Inhale through the nose, slow exhale. Then write a single line. Urge to check X because I want to avoid Y. Example, urge to check Instagram because I want to avoid the hard paragraph. Label the truth. Urges lose power when named. Phase 4 is the redirect. We don't just remove noise, we reroute energy. Take the time you just saved and assign it to 2 non-negotiables, 1 deep work block and 1 stillness block. Deep work block. 60 minutes, 1 task, 1 window, 1 outcome. Nothing else lives in that hour. Put the phone in another room or in a drawer. Full screen the work. If you must use a browser, keep a single tab. When you want to escape, tell yourself 1 more minute. That minute, right there, is where strength forms. Stillness. Block. 10 to 15 minutes of deliberate silence. No music, no screens. Sit, walk, or stare out a window. Let the dust settle. Boredom will arrive. That isn't failure, that's detox. Your brain is recalibrating from slot machine mode to human mode. Phase 5 is the proof. At the end of the day, you'll run the 3 numbers, 3 lines review. 3 numbers, minutes of deep work, minutes of stillness, number of urges tallied. 3 lines, where did my attention leak? Where did I hold the line? What one rule made the biggest difference? Optional, but powerful. Put a sticky note where you worked that says, "We do it again tomorrow." The mind respects what it can see. Let me make this practical with a script you can follow today. Morning, baseline tallies for 2 hours. At 9 o'clock, first input window, 15 minutes to check messages, respond, scan only what matters. Close it. Start your deep work block. Phone out of reach. When your brain screams for novelty, 10 to 10 swap. Breathe 10 seconds. Write 10 seconds. Keep going. Midday, second input window. Compress it. If you feel the pull to roam, ask, does this strengthen me or scatter me? If it scatters, it's stealing. Close the gate. Do your stillness block now. Walk outside, eyes on the horizon, 3 slow breaths per minute. Let your nervous system learn a new tempo. Evening, last input window. Tie up communication. No doom scrolling. Close the day with 3 numbers, 3 lines. Then stop feeding your nervous system junk after dark. Guard the descent. You'll be surprised by what the experiment shows you. You'll learn your personal trigger hours, the time of day when urges spike. You'll see your specific bait, apps, names, topics that reliably fracture your mind. You'll feel the difference between I'm tired and I'm overstimulated. Those are not the same thing. Overstimulation masquerades as fatigue. A few field notes to keep you steady. Make frictions visible. Put your charger in another room. Put your phone on a shelf you have to stand up to reach. Keep a notepad within arm's length. Tools in reach, temptations out of reach. This is not about willpower. It's about physics. Keep score you can feel. Tally marks on paper beat any fancy tracker. Your brain believes ink. Flatten the path to the work. Open the document you need before bed. Stage the first tab you'll need. Leave a 1-sentence prompt for morning you. Momentum should start at 0 decisions. What about emergencies? Real emergencies call. Everything else is a request, dressed in urgency. Train people with your windows. They adapt faster than you think. What if I break the rule? Reset immediately. The experiment isn't pass/fail, it's rep by rep. If you miss, return. Write reset and continue. This is not about deprivation, it's about conversion. You're converting random, anxious microbursts into quiet, compounding blocks. When you feel that first hour of real focus return to you, you'll understand something crucial. Attention isn't a talent. It's a budget you've been overspending without a ledger. Now you have one. A warning. The first day can feel noisy. That's normal. When you remove easy dopamine, your mind gets louder before it gets quiet. That's the storm passing through. On day 2, urges drop. On day 3, you start to crave the calm. By day 7, you'll wonder how you ever lived inside the constant pull. Use these 2 mantras when the pull hits. Not now, at the window, and 1 more minute right here. Tiny phrases, massive leverage. If you want to amplify the results, pair the experiment with 1 constraint. No screens before sunlight. Step outside for 5 minutes before your first window. That single habit stabilizes your rhythm, and rhythm stabilizes judgment. At the end of 24 hours, look at your page. The tallies, the minutes, the 3 lines. That is your map. You'll see where to reinforce and where to cut. You'll see how much of your day was stolen by invisible hands, and how easily you took it back when you closed the gate. Tomorrow, repeat, but now enhance it with 1 upgrade. Give your reclaimed time a home. Don't just save minutes. Assign them. 10 minutes to write, 10 to read, 10 to walk. Your future is built in those tiny deposits. Remember the point. This isn't punishment. It's sovereignty. You're proving to yourself that you can choose what to see and when, that you can be in the world without being owned by it. Run the experiment, recover your hour, then invest it in the life you say you want. Seeing the battlefield is not enough. You have data now, evidence. The next step is architecture, turning your reclaimed minutes into a system that cannot be shaken. Once you've seen how much time leaks through tiny cracks, the next question becomes, how do you rebuild the structure itself so it holds under pressure? Not with willpower, but with design. This is self as system. The phrase, focus on yourself, has been twisted. Some hear it and think isolation, withdrawal, selfishness. But the truth is, it means something much deeper. Focus on yourself means reconstruction. It means rebuilding the system of your life so it runs on principle, not pressure. You are not a single event. You are a system made of habits, rituals, beliefs, inputs and standards. And most people never design that system consciously. They live like open code, letting anyone write into them, letting randomness set their rules. Stoicism teaches you to take that code back, to debug your mind. Think of yourself like a fortress under siege. Every distraction is an arrow over the wall. Every opinion you absorb without filter is a crack in the stone. You can't just fight off enemies one by one. You have to rebuild the walls themselves. That's what it means to focus on yourself, to construct a system so stable that chaos breaks against it instead of breaking through it. The Stoics lived by system. Morning reflections, evening reviews, clear routines, predictable behaviors under unpredictable circumstances. They didn't rely on mood, they relied on rhythm. Marcus Aurelius didn't wake up inspired every day to lead Rome. He woke up disciplined. He trained his emotions like a soldier trains his weapon, not for show, but for readiness. You do the same by turning your focus into structure. Clean your schedule the way you clean your mind. Every commitment, every conversation, every input, ask, does this align with my priorities, or does it drain them? Cut the unnecessary. Simplify until your days feel clean again. Your calendar is not a prison, it's armor. Each block of time becomes a wall, protecting what matters most. 1 hour of deep, undistracted work beats 10 hours of multitasking. 1 hour of silence beats 10 hours of shallow noise. The untrained mind believes freedom means doing whatever you want. The Stoic mind knows freedom means command over yourself. Command comes from systems, clear rules that protect your higher self from your weaker impulses. Build your system one piece at a time. Morning, silence before screens. Midday, movement to reset energy. Evening, review to refine. These are not rituals for aesthetics. They are checkpoints for control. The Stoics called it living according to nature, aligning your actions with what's rational and under your control. When you build a system, you don't have to rely on motivation. Systems don't care how you feel, they care what you do, and that's liberation, when you no longer need to feel ready to act right. Structure creates freedom. It sounds paradoxical, but it's truth. Because without structure, life dissolves into noise. When you set your rules, you no longer waste energy deciding who you are every day. The system decides for you. Your energy, your schedule, your habits, all of it is the machinery of focus. Keep it clean, and it will carry you further than passion ever could. The Stoics would tell you, you cannot control the world, but you can control the operating system you live through. Upgrade that system, simplify it, protect it. Every new layer of order adds another layer of peace. Because the chaos outside will never stop, but your ability to stay composed can become unbreakable. That's the real secret behind focusing on yourself. You stop trying to control people, trends, or outcomes. You start mastering systems, habits, and responses. The external world stops being a storm you're caught in and becomes a climate you're equipped for. Your system is your shield. Build it well enough, and nothing can take your peace without your permission. Focus on yourself until you win. But understand this, winning doesn't mean dominating others. It means mastering the internal machinery that makes peace possible. The system is the self. Train it, test it, and one day, trust it. Knowing you're distracted isn't enough. You have to rebuild the mind itself, piece by piece, like a craftsman restoring a weapon. This next part is the reconstruction, rebuilding attention. You don't lose focus all at once. It fades slowly through tiny, silent exchanges. One text here, one scroll there, one, "I'll check this real quick." You don't even notice the theft because it doesn't hurt. But every stolen second compounds. Every unguarded moment becomes an open gate. And before you realize it, your attention, your life, belongs to everything but you. You've been trained to confuse stimulation with significance. The world feeds you a constant buffet of novelty, and you've mistaken being entertained for being alive. Attention isn't just what you look at. It's what you feed. Feed chaos, and you get anxiety. Feed order, and you get strength. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. They didn't have screens, but they had distraction, gossip, politics, pleasure, fear. Seneca warned, "If you are everywhere, you are nowhere." He wasn't talking about travel, he was talking about scattered attention. Modern life makes that quote prophetic. You wake up, and before you even breathe deeply, you've already seen more opinions than a Roman senator heard in a lifetime. Your mind hasn't even anchored yet, and it's already reacting. That's not information overload. That's spiritual vandalism. The Stoics had a cure for this. Guard the gates of your mind. Imagine your attention as a gatehouse to a fortress. You don't let anything pass through without purpose. Every thought, every conversation, every piece of content must earn its way in. Ask, does this strengthen me or scatter me? If it's not strengthening you, it's stealing from you. Here's what that looks like in practice. Start and end your day in silence. No screens, no voices, no noise, just stillness. Let the mind reset before the world comes rushing in. This is not aesthetic. It's neurological warfare. Stillness clears the chemical fog that digital noise leaves behind. Most people are running on low-grade dopamine withdrawal all day. They scroll for stimulation, crash, feel empty, then scroll again to refill. It's not weakness, it's conditioning. But here's the secret. The antidote isn't more control, it's structure. You don't fight impulses with willpower. You fight them with systems that make the right action the easiest one. Pick one non-negotiable rule for your attention. No screen before sunrise, or no phone until after my first deep work block. These tiny, fixed boundaries create massive clarity. The Stoics would call this discipline of perception. Control what you let in, and the rest follows. When you remove noise, something unexpected happens. Boredom shows up. Most people run from boredom like it's poison, but boredom is a signal. It's your mind saying, the fog is lifting. Sit in it. Don't fill it. Let your brain remember what real focus feels like. The first time you work without distractions for an hour, you'll feel restless. The second time, focused. The third, powerful. By the 10th, addicted, not to stimulation, but to control. Attention is the gate to wisdom. Everything you want, clarity, mastery, purpose, begins there. But the world profits when you never find that gate. That's why distraction is easy and discipline is rare. You can scroll endlessly, but reflection demands silence. Start creating attention rituals. Choose a single workspace, one desk, one chair, one notebook, one purpose. When you sit there, the mind should know, this is where we focus. No eating, no browsing, no multitasking. You're training your brain to associate this space with presence. Design deep work blocks. Set a timer for 60 minutes. Remove every possible trigger. Close tabs. Flip your phone. Breathe once. Then begin. The moment you want to escape, stay one more minute. That single minute, the one you want to run from, is where strength forms. Distraction isn't just a habit, it's a belief. You've been taught to fear stillness, to think silence means you're wasting time. But stillness isn't the absence of progress, it's the precondition for it. The Stoics didn't run from silence, they built empires from it. When you start to rebuild attention, you'll notice two worlds forming, the inner one, quiet and alive, and the outer one, loud and restless. People will think you've disappeared. You haven't. You've simply stopped being available to nonsense. Here's the truth. Mastery looks boring. To outsiders, it's silence. To insiders, it's freedom. You no longer react to everything. You select your battles, and that's how your power returns. Every time you protect your focus, you declare, "My life belongs to me again." That's not arrogance, that's ownership. You can't be free until your attention is yours. Focus on yourself until you win. Not as a slogan, but as a practice. Every hour reclaimed is another piece of yourself returning home. But focus isn't just mental. The mind can't command what the body betrays. To sustain clarity, you need strength beneath it. Let's move deeper into the foundation, the physiology of focus. You can't command the mind if you neglect the body. Your brain isn't a floating consciousness. It's hardware wired into the muscles, the breath, the gut, the rhythm of sleep and light. The Stoics understood this long before science proved it. They trained the body not for vanity, but for clarity, because energy is moral fuel. When your energy collapses, your discipline goes with it. You think you're tired because you've done too much, but in truth, you're tired because you've done too many things that don't matter. Junk inputs drain more energy than real effort ever will. Most fatigue isn't physical. It's friction. Friction from clutter, from decisions, from the chaos of an unstructured day. Let's strip it back. The Stoic body is built for reliability. It wakes early. It moves daily. It rests cleanly. It eats simply. No hype, no gimmicks, just repeatable order. Simplicity, Seneca said, is an ornament of the wise. Simplicity is what restores power when everything around you is pulling for your exhaustion. Start with the first pillar, sleep. If you break this, nothing else holds. Sleep is not a reward. It's the operating system reboot. Set one bedtime and one wake time. Keep them sacred. No exceptions for weekends. No indulgence disguised as self-care. You don't need 10 hacks. You need rhythm. The nervous system runs on rhythm. When it knows what to expect, it gives you stability. Next, movement. The Stoics trained like soldiers, not to sculpt, but to sharpen. They walked miles every morning, lifted weights of stone, trained in cold air. Their goal wasn't aesthetics, it was readiness. You move your body to calm your mind. Physical motion burns the static that anxiety feeds on. 3 sessions a week of hard lifting. Daily walks, movement that challenges but doesn't consume. When the body works, thoughts align. Now, fuel. Eat like a craftsman to sustain the work, not to chase pleasure. Cut what clouds the mind, heavy sugar, endless caffeine, alcohol that wrecks sleep. You want clarity? Then stop poisoning the machinery of thought. Eat whole, eat simple, hydrate early. A clean body makes clean decisions. There's a phrase in neuroscience, the state of the body is the story of the mind. Stoicism lived by that rule before it had a name. They believed the body must obey command, not craving. When your body becomes predictable, your focus becomes automatic. Then there's the one habit modern people have nearly lost: sunlight. The Stoics rose with the dawn. Marcus Aurelius wrote about greeting the day as a man prepared for duty. Light anchors the rhythm of the mind. Morning sunlight resets your biological clock and tells your body, "We begin now." If you do one thing from this entire section, make it this: step outside every morning before you check a single screen. 10 minutes of light beats an hour of motivation videos. Notice the pattern. These are not extreme habits. They're repeatable, measurable, boring even. That's the point. Greatness is built on boring repetition. You don't rise through passion, you rise through protocol. The modern mind wants complexity. It wants the 10-step morning routine, the supplement stack, the perfect schedule. The Stoic mind wants order. You'll find more focus in drinking a glass of water and walking at sunrise than in any productivity hack online. But this isn't just physical. The physiology of focus is psychological armor. When your body is stable, your emotions become manageable. The small stresses that break most people, you'll glide through them because your foundation is solid. You can't be mentally calm if you're physically chaotic. Here's the secret. Energy is a moral issue. When you let your body decay, you're not just being lazy, you're making it harder to live with virtue. You can't think clearly when your blood sugar crashes. You can't lead calmly when you haven't slept. You can't focus when your body's screaming for movement. Discipline isn't just mental toughness. It's biology managed with intention. Train the body like a servant of reason. Feed it, rest it, challenge it, clean it. Treat it as an instrument of virtue, not a billboard for approval. When the body is stable, the mind becomes still. And when the mind is still, focus becomes effortless. This is why the Stoics didn't separate body and soul. They were one machine. The body executes, the mind directs, the will unites them. You're not just rebuilding focus, you're re-engineering the entire operating system of your life. You're teaching the body that it exists to serve the mission, not the mood. So, make your physiology stoic, strong, predictable, uncompromising. Because the person who controls their energy controls their emotions, and the person who controls their emotions controls their world. Focus on yourself until you win, not just in thought, but in form. Once the body is disciplined, the next frontier is identity itself, who you become through repetition. This is where power takes shape: identity, consistency, and power. Every system you build eventually asks a question: who am I becoming through this? The Stoics answered that question not with words, but with behavior. You don't become disciplined by declaring it. You become disciplined by repeating it. You don't build identity through affirmations. You build it through evidence. Each repetition is a vote for the person you want to be. Each act of consistency is proof. Over time, those votes accumulate, and suddenly you trust yourself. And when a person truly trusts themselves, they become unstoppable, because doubt no longer slows them down. The untrained mind waits to feel confident before acting. The trained mind acts, and confidence follows. This is the secret rhythm of mastery. Action first, identity second. Epictetus said, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." The day you stop trying to convince people you've changed and just become the proof, that's when identity hardens into power. Consistency is the forge where character is made. Most people think discipline is about intensity. It's not. Intensity is emotion. Consistency is decision. The Stoics didn't train for bursts of greatness. They trained for reliability. Reliability is greatness in motion. Ask yourself, What would a strong, calm, stoic version of me do right now? Then do it, not once, but again tomorrow, and again the day after. Identity doesn't require fireworks. It requires repetition without apology. People chase motivation like it's oxygen, but motivation is a liar. It shows up only when life feels easy. Discipline shows up when life doesn't care how you feel. The Stoic mind builds its power on predictability, showing up regardless of mood. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you rise unwillingly, have this thought ready: I rise to do the work of a human being." You'll notice over time something shifts. You start doing the things you said you would do, not because anyone's watching, but because that's who you are now. The internal debate ends. There's no "should I?" There's only "it's time." That is identity at work. This is the phase where most people quit, the middle, not because it's impossible, but because consistency is quiet. There's no applause for the third week of discipline, no recognition for saying no to distractions when no one's watching. But that's exactly where power grows, in silence, in repetition, in the unromantic hours between comfort and duty. The Stoics didn't wait for ease. They practiced readiness. They saw boredom and hardship as training grounds. They understood that identity is a habit, a living, breathing pattern of behavior. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your identity strengthens. Every time you break one, it weakens. "Do not wish to be a man of success," Seneca said, "but a man of value." And value comes from reliability. You become valuable to the world when the world knows it can count on you, and you know you can count on yourself. Let's make this practical. Pick one standard, not 10. One. Something small enough to be kept daily, but big enough to require intention. Maybe it's journaling before bed. Maybe it's training at dawn. Maybe it's staying silent instead of reacting. Do it for 30 days. Don't break the chain. Don't explain it. Just execute. On day 1, it's effort. On day 10, it's rhythm. On day 30, it's identity. You'll realize the mind begins to align with the record. The evidence becomes too strong to doubt. You no longer hope you're disciplined. You know it. Consistency doesn't make you rigid. It makes you trustworthy to yourself and to others. Power, real power, is not in control of others. It's in control of self. Because when your behavior matches your principles, no matter the pressure, people notice. They trust your silence. They feel your steadiness. You stop demanding respect because your presence commands it. That's the difference between charisma and gravity. Charisma fades when the spotlight moves. Gravity keeps pulling even in the dark. This is how Stoics built influence without seeking it. They lived so consistently that their actions became philosophy in motion. They didn't announce their strength, they demonstrated it. And that is the ultimate evolution of focus. To become the kind of person whose calm steadiness changes rooms without speaking a word. Focus on yourself until you win isn't about self-obsession. It's about building a self so reliable that life begins to orbit around your discipline. When you reach that point, when your consistency turns into quiet authority, you'll understand why the Stoics called virtue the highest form of power. Power doesn't come from dominance. It comes from integrity repeated until it becomes nature. And once that happens, once your habits and your identity are one, you don't have to chase success. You simply attract it by being unshakable. All of it leads here. The synthesis, the final ascent, the code of the modern Stoic, the modern Stoic blueprint. You've rebuilt your focus. You've fortified your body. You've turned consistency into identity. Now it's time to integrate everything, to build a system so strong, so deliberate, that chaos becomes irrelevant. This is where Stoicism stops being philosophy and becomes power in motion. The Stoic blueprint is simple, but not easy. 3 commands govern it all. Control what you can, act with virtue, accept what remains. Every choice, every habit, every response runs through that triad. When the world wavers, that's your compass. Let's start with the first rule: control what you can. Most people waste their lives trying to control outcomes. They chase results they can't guarantee, people they can't predict, and circumstances that were never theirs to manage. The Stoic does the opposite. He rules only what's within his reach, his focus, his conduct, his preparation. And because he controls those perfectly, everything else falls into place. Control your inputs, and your outputs take care of themselves. Control your energy, and success follows naturally. Control your emotions, and chaos loses its leverage. Every system you've built, from discipline to stillness, exists for this reason: to protect the small circle where your control is absolute. The second rule: act with virtue. This is the Stoic definition of success. Not wealth, not followers, not trophies, but doing the right thing with precision, consistency, and calm, even when it costs you. Power built without virtue collapses. Influence built on ego decays. But a life built on virtue endures. You act with virtue when you work with excellence, even when no one watches. You act with virtue when you speak truth, not for praise, but for integrity. You act with virtue when you refuse to compromise discipline for comfort. The Stoic doesn't chase reputation. He builds character, and reputation becomes the shadow that follows. The third rule: accept what remains. Acceptance isn't surrender, it's strategic clarity. You act with all your strength, and when the outcome comes, you meet it with composure. If it favors you, be grateful. If it tests you, be grounded. The Stoic never loses. He either wins or trains. Acceptance is the end of anxiety. The moment you stop fighting what you can't change, all your energy returns to what you can. That's why Stoic peace looks like power, because it is. Imagine living a life where nothing external can break your rhythm. That's not fantasy. That's training. The modern Stoic moves through life like a strategist, not frantic, not detached, but composed. When others panic, he pauses. When others rush, he breathes. When others complain, he builds. That's not a personality trait. That's discipline practiced to the point of instinct. You want to know what real control looks like? It's this: keeping the same tone under pressure, the same standard after failure, the same purpose in success. That's the level you're training for. Consistency so complete it becomes command. This is the blueprint. Wake early, move daily, guard your attention, speak less, mean more, finish what you start, rest deliberately, review constantly, serve with excellence, leave no clutter, mental or physical, behind you. You live by principle, not by mood. You build order, not opinion. You choose rhythm over intensity. And you measure life not by comfort, but by command. Because the Stoic understands something the modern world has forgotten. Peace isn't found, it's built. One disciplined act at a time. There's a moment when this lifestyle stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like truth. You wake up before the alarm because your body obeys your mind. You work deeply because distraction feels unnatural. You speak calmly because anger feels inefficient. That's when you've crossed from training into mastery. Most people are ruled by what's loud, their moods, their cravings, their notifications. You'll be ruled by what's steady, principle, structure, virtue. That's the power the world can't imitate. When you reach this point, your focus no longer wavers with circumstances. You've become your own command center, unbothered, deliberate, self-directed. The noise of the world doesn't disappear. You've just risen above its frequency. That's the Stoic victory. Not in conquering others, but in mastering yourself so completely that the world loses the power to disturb your peace. The result is quiet authority. You don't demand respect. You radiate it. You don't chase validation. You replace it with results. You don't fear failure. You use it as data. You don't hope for calm. You create it. This is the blueprint. Principle over impulse, order over emotion, presence over performance. The more you follow it, the less the world controls you. So now the challenge begins. Take what you've built, the focus, the stillness, the structure, the consistency, and apply it ruthlessly. Don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for motivation. Begin now. Wake up early. Breathe deeply. Move with purpose. Do the work. Review the day. Repeat tomorrow. And again, until excellence becomes reflex. Focus on yourself until you win. Not as an escape, but as a declaration. Because when you master yourself, everything else falls into place. The Stoic doesn't chase peace. He carries it. He doesn't seek respect. He commands it. He doesn't wait to win. He wins through discipline every single day. That is the Stoic blueprint. That is how you rise above the noise. And that is how you win. Now, if you are ready to dive deeper and refine how your mind responds to stressful situations, watch the video that will be on the screen and in the description. See you there. Stay stoic, my friends.